So does inch loss and fat loss mean more or less the same thing, or can they mean two separate things, and how are they connected? We see a lot more younger people getting hypertension and high cholesterol and strokes and heart attacks. And do you put it down to incorrect nutrition, or do you say it's because of stress, or do you say it's because of, like how they call it, is it because of lifestyle?
But now you've come to your 40s and your metabolism has dropped to 1500, but you're still eating 2000.
Okay.
Where will these additional 500 calories
In
go?
your body. Yeah. You should not have certain foods when you're recovering from an illness or a surgery. Is that true? Like, how much scientific logic is there to that? If you have to give a lay person advice in terms of, let's say, a proportion, how would you do it? How would you tell someone who's just starting off, or someone who doesn't really know much
Right.
about this? How would you tell them to start off to make sure they're moving towards a healthy kind of diet? Hey, Maitri, it's so good to have you here. It's been a couple of years since we last met.
Yes, I think, yeah.
Yeah. A lot's happened since then.
A lot, yes.
Yeah. And I've been following you on social media, as do a couple of my friends. And we've been seeing your fitness tips and your diet tips. And we are like, okay, tell us the secret. So that's what. So you are of course, a professionally certified nutritionist.
Yes.
So I'll start with a very basic one. But now you have a flood of information out there on the internet. Okay, there's so much of information. So how does how do people know not to take that free advice, and how do people? Why do people go to a nutritionist, or why should they go to?
I'm so happy you brought this up, because a lot of people actually turn to the net and then follow all those advices, and they go through a lot of disasters. That could either be injuries or loss of energy or strength. So one of the biggest things that a nutritionist, a personal nutritionist offers, which the internet doesn't offer, is the ability to bounce off questions.
Information is out there, probably the correct information, like you said, or the information which will answer.
A person to
credible. Yes,
the net
credible.
cannot compile your different symptoms and tell you what should be done. And you don't know, right? You can't say, okay, so this is what I'm going to do. Is this fine? There's nobody to answer you.
No, there is.
So that's right.
So another basic question. So when you talk about a nutritionist, you are telling me what is the nutrition my body needs and whether it's lacking something, or like, is there much more to it than that in your profession? Like,
so majority of the clients that come to me or inquiries, they come when they have either experienced loss of energy and strength, and it's not vitamin D or vitamin B12 problem, or they want an aesthetic change. So they probably want to lean down, get toned, develop more muscle, more visible muscle vascularity, which is as is called today. Which is usually the situation, because these days everybody is after looking aesthetically good. But what I'm also observing is that inquiries in post 40s or post 35 are coming to me more for the other problems that have started developing. And usually, so my approach towards nutrition is not to address your aesthetic problem. If the internal, so my nutrition advice is it focuses on repairing and improving the functioning of your internal organs. When your internal organs are functioning better, let's say when inquiries come to me, they're probably the kidneys functioning at 65%, liver is at probably 55%. When your internal organs start working at 85%, 90%, that is when all the other problems also start getting resolved. And fat loss is a byproduct of all your internal organs functioning well or better.
Wow. So that's, we look at it as an end game, but it's not. It's a byproduct of your overall health.
And nutrition it's medicine. Your medicine will not work if you're not taking the correct nutrition. And if you're taking the correct nutrition, you might not need medicine. Of course, there are certain diseases to curtail the growth of which we have to take medicines. But nutrition is medicine in itself. And when you actually start having the right nutrition, you actually start resolving a lot of problems. Your body starts healing internally. And the biggest sign of that is it comes in the first week itself. Not only do you lose inches and you lose weight, my clients always come back with this. They lose inches, they lose weight in the first week itself, 7 days. But what matters to me more is my digestion has improved. My energy is higher. That, of course, happens after about 15 days to 20 days. But my digestion has improved, comes within the first week. I have more strength. I can push more. I can play with my child for a longer time, which I couldn't in the evenings after my work. So all these feedbacks, I think improving your life in general is a huge contribution that good nutrition makes.
I read this article recently about the prevalence of lifestyle diseases in India, right? So we're talking about type B diabetes, I think it's called.
Right.
We see a lot more younger people getting hypertension and high cholesterol and strokes and heart attacks. And do you put it down to incorrect nutrition, or do you say it's because of stress, or do you say it's because of, like how they call it, is it because of lifestyle? Like, why do you think we are seeing more of that in our generation, and how do you think we kind of prevent that, if one can?
Sampath, a very interesting question, because I'd like to add something to this, that if anybody visits a doctor today for all these multiple, even including pregnancy, PCOS, thyroid, diabetes, we understand all those things. The first thing the doctor tells you is lose weight.
Really?
Yes. So obesity is the precursor for all problems. There are some people who realize the moment they start gaining a little weight. I have people who gain probably 2 kilos, 3 kilos or 4 kilos. They come to me immediately and they were like, we need to do something about this because we are not able to handle this. And then there are people who wait to become 45, 55 kilos more than what they're supposed to be. And then probably for whatever reason, maybe they're busy or maybe it strikes them late, or maybe sometimes a disease sets in and that's when they realize that now they just need to cut down on everything. That's why my advice is that before all of these things happen, start taking, now that there is so much awareness. I always tell my clients, everything that I'm saying, check it on your own. There is Google. Check the nutritional value of, if I'm telling you that moong dal has 20% protein and 80% carbs, check it for yourself. Don't take my word for it, because all the information is available. Nowadays, nobody is God. Nobody decides. So, yes, the lifestyle diseases are because of increased stress and not enough, not appropriate, inadequate nutrition and inadequate exercise also. And yes, like I said, some people realize it early, some people realize it late, some people have a problem in the family and they're like, oh, my parents had thyroid and diabetes. I don't want that. So I would take nutrition to start off with right away. Some people realize it late. But for well-being, your exercise contributes 20%, your nutrition contributes 80%.
Yeah, well, that's my trainer actually told me this, and it really upset me, because I was one of those. So my dad's from the army, and his, their sort of approach towards health is, of course, they eat healthy, but they're like, eat whatever you want and then work it off, right?
Yeah.
And then my trainer is like, if you're going to eat like this, there's nothing we can do in the gym. And he's the one who explained to me that, abs are made in the kitchen, like how we hear it nowadays. And so I want to ask you, most people look at it as very simple things, okay, protein and carb, okay, or they look at fiber, okay, they know three things. So if you have to give a lay person advice in terms of, let's say, a proportion, how would you do it? How would you tell someone who's just starting off, or someone who doesn't really know much
Right.
about this? How would you tell them to start off to make sure they're moving towards a healthy kind of diet?
So, you see, most people are looking for fat loss, which after the age of 30, our body loses muscle at the rate of 3 to 8% per year.
That's quite high. That's high.
So what's the problem? The question should be, so what's the problem? The problem is that with your muscle dropping, your metabolism also comes down. It's proportionate, directly proportionate. Muscle comes down, your metabolism comes down. And then if you're eating the same food that you were eating in your 20s, if you're eating in your 40s, all the extra, the food that you're having, because your metabolism has dropped, is going to get packed as fat. So let's say your metabolism was 2000 in your 20s, and let's say and you were eating 2000 calories, you were maintaining, you were fine, you were just the same. But now you've come to your 40s and your metabolism has dropped to 1500, but you're still eating 2000.
Okay.
Where will these additional 500 calories
In
go?
your body. Yeah.
They get packed everywhere. And that's why we need to do things to combat the loss of muscle. And the only way to combat loss of muscle is strength training. So, Sampada, interestingly, before I certified to be a nutritionist, I certified to be a trainer. I was obsessed with gymming and training, and it's been 24 years now. I was myself 115 kilos.
And you dropped
a lot, 40, 50 kilos, yeah. The trigger was that when I would walk, Sampada, I would breathe heavy. I would just take a flight, one floor, and I'm breathing heavy. Okay, wait, let me just catch my breath, and then we will have the conversation that we need to. It was so embarrassing being at such a senior position and being so unhealthy. And that didn't go down very well. And like I said, that I spoke to other nutritionists at that time, and that trainers and I spoke to trainers and nutritionists because I thought exercise was the way. And then I realized, what actually happens? Why do people give so much focus and importance to workout as compared to diet? Is because you can see that. I'm working out, I'm lifting heavy, that 12 people looking at me, my trainer's like, go, 9, 10. So there's such a noise around.
And you come back with an endorphin rush and you're like, I did this today.
Yes. Yeah. But when you're sitting at home and you're having those 6 egg whites, nobody is there to cheer you and tell you go. So our importance and our value for nutrition relatively drops. But of course, I'm very happy to share, Sampada, that these days, people are actually, now I don't need to tell anybody that nutrition is 80%. People come to me and say, hey, you know what? I'm working out. I know nutrition is 80%. I want nutrition advice from you. It's different that I am a very strong supporter of muscle gain and strength training. So I have people come to me and tell me, I have 3 months.
I'm getting married or I'm doing this.
I want to drop 10 kilos, my sister's wedding or whatever. I say, I'm not the right person. Because I'm not going to make you drop 10 kilos in 3 months. You can go wherever you want to, but let me also tell you, you will drop 10 kilos in 3 months, and in the next 3 months, you're going to put on 15 kilos.
Yes, I've seen that with crazy diets. I've seen that. Yeah.
So you know why that happens, Sampada?
Because they can't sustain it?
No. So here is what happens. I'm so happy you've given me this platform to explain this, because this is what a lot of people don't understand. So I'm going to clear 2 myths over here, and I'm going to be starting with cardio. Because people, especially women, are obsessed with cardio.
They love cardio. They think that's the answer to everything. I don't know why.
Again, it is the same thing that, what is visible. You're sweating, you're breathing heavy, something is happening. People are actually under the misconception that you're sweating your fat out. Yes. No, 80% of your fat goes out through your breath. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
So, So when you're sweating, what is it? Is it like water loss or like what?
It's actually water and electrolyte loss, which is horrible.
Okay.
You should really refurbish yourself with a lot of electrolytes if you are losing that, if you're sweating that much. But coming back to what does cardio do? Cardio makes, so this is fat, this is muscle. You do cardio, you will drop fat,
Okay.
but you're also dropping muscle. And you know what is happening when you're dropping muscle, right?
You're losing tone also.
You are dropping metabolism.
Okay.
So you were here, you were at 2000, you were your muscle high, you were at 2000, your metabolism was at 2000, you dropped fat, and then you dropped your metabolism, your muscle as well. Now you are burning only 1500. Now your metabolism is 1500 and you're eating 2000. So what happens with cardio is, in the beginning, people see a lot of inch loss and weight loss. Listen to my words. I'm not saying fat loss. I'm saying weight loss. Weight loss is equal to fat plus muscle loss.
Both. Okay.
Both.
Okay.
And in the beginning, they will see a lot of weight loss because you're losing fat and muscle. And finally, when the muscle comes down to a level which is at the same as the kind of food that you're eating, 1500 you're eating and 1500 is your metabolism, that's when it halts. Because now you are burning the same as you are eating.
So you're stagnated.
You're stagnating. Now, do more of it and your metabolism will drop even lower. Now you will start packing on fat. So what happens with strength training? Strength training is a long process. You don't gain muscle overnight. But the sad part is you do lose it overnight. So muscle is a hungry tissue. It needs food every 3 hours. So that is what cardio does to the muscle as well as fat. Now, what does strength training do? Strength training is a long process, but it survives. It lives with you all your life. You will meet a lot of trainers at the gym who will give you quick workouts, functional, make you lose weight very fast. It won't survive. It'll come back. And then there'll be this crazy trainer who tells you strength training. And you're like, sir, 3 mahina ho gaya, no change. 6 months over, no change. But the way the muscle is building in your body, after a year, when you see your transformation, that doesn't go very fast. And when you are strength training, you are building muscle as compared to cardio, where you are destroying muscle. In strength training, what happens is, so I'll give you an example, okay? So your bicep, let's say, has 4 muscle fibers. And you go to gym, gym, by the way, breaks your muscle, okay? You don't build muscle at the gym. So you break all these 4 muscle fibers. You come home, you have protein. Protein is the only food for muscle. Muscle doesn't eat carbs or fat. You have protein. These guys repair themselves. And not only repair themselves, they grow another 4 more fibers, because Sampada took 5 kilos at the gym and now we are ready for 5 kilos. But Sampada is smarter. Sampada goes back to the gym the next day and she takes 10 kilos. And this time, all these 4 get destroyed. All the 8 get destroyed. She comes home, she has protein. These get repaired and they grow 8 more. So this is how your muscle fiber grows. Now look at the situation the other way. Sampada went to gym, she picked up 5 kilos on her bicep, she had 4 muscle fibers, she broke all of them, she came home, she didn't have protein. These 2 muscle fibers will eat these 2 muscle fibers and you're left with only 2 muscle fibers.
Okay.
Next day Sampada goes to gym, she works out again, these 2 muscle fibers break, she doesn't have protein. This one eats this one, she's left with 1. So this process is called atrophy, where you are losing muscle, where your hypertrophy is where you're gaining muscle tissue, muscle fibers. Atrophy is where you are dropping muscle fibers and muscle tissue. And as atrophy occurs, as you start dropping muscle, you will start dropping your metabolism as well. And that's where you start packing on fat. Old age drop of muscle, which happens with people in the old age. You see, people in their 70s, 80s, your grandparents, they keep falling suddenly out of nothing. It's a very basic 1 step and they fall. That's because they have lost muscle and there is nothing to help them, hold on to them, leaving them more susceptible to injuries and falling and a lot of other problems which happen because of sarcopenia, which is a drop of muscle mass. So therefore, now that we have, at that age, at that time, they didn't have so much information. So you really can't blame them for not having taken care of their muscle mass. But now that there is so much information, I always tell people that take care of your muscles, work on them, work on your strength training. Strength training arrests your age also.
How does that work?
Yeah, it makes you go back in your years because it doesn't permit the natural process of 3 to 8% drop every year after the age of 30 to occur, right? So it holds on to your muscle and you benefit a lot with it. Besides the metabolism and fat, which is my forte, you benefit a lot in terms of posture, in terms of energy, stamina. You really don't want to be aging and, losing the energy to play with your kids or your grandkids. So, yeah.
I'm a huge fan of strength training myself.
Oh, that's great.
I love it. So I have a question related to that. Now, when you have men have more muscle mass naturally than women. So we were shooting for this particular show where we were on a cruise liner for 3 months, and a cruise liner has 5 buffets like a day, and they have really good food. So we were like eating because we were eating like there's no tomorrow. At the end of 3 months, the girls are all ballooned and the boys have fluctuated like a little bit. And is it because women are, to put it in a very layman term, are women more genetically predisposed to, pack on weight more easily? Is that true? And are there any body areas where Indian women specifically put on kind of weight? I kind of know the answer to that, but I'm still asking you. And so do we have to work harder? Because I don't think strength training is something I've seen a lot of women fond of. They're not very fond of it, at least what I see around me. Like, I'm one of the exceptions, right?
They're not fond of it because they've not done it. The moment they start doing it, I think they'll start hating cardio.
Yeah, but I like it. So.
Yeah, I love it. It took me 5 years to perfect squats. And after I've perfected them, I'm so much in love with them. My glutes are the talk of the gym.
Okay. We have to go to a gym to figure out if we take a
So coming back to generally people, it's not just Indian women, it's people are predisposed to packing on weight. The first place where the fat will come is your belly. And the last place, when you start losing fat, the last place for it to go from will be the belly.
Why is that?
Because the belly has all the organs. So it in any case has visceral fat. So fat is technically supposed to be taking care of the organs. It's protecting the organs.
Okay.
So when you start losing fat, the body's like, oh my God, it looks like Sampada is going into starvation mode. She's in some trauma. She's not going to be. So,
conserve it.
Yes, conserve it. Just like what a fruit is to a tree, right? It is starch. It is additional fat, which is made into a fruit, and kept on the tree.
Okay.
When the tree doesn't get adequate sun or water or nutrition, for that matter, fertilizers, the first thing to dry up will be the fruit before the bark or the leaves or anything dries up. That's because that was the stored, the excess fat. That's a backup that, in case you go into starvation, this is what's going to be taken care of first. That it's the same case with fat. It's a backup. So the body tries to protect it. In fact, when you go through something, stress, whether it's physical or mental, it releases a hormone called cortisol.
Yes, the aging hormone.
Actually, the stress hormone.
The stress hormone.
So let's say this is fat, okay? And this is cortisol. What cortisol does is cortisol comes and wraps fat. Okay, looks like Sampada is in stress. So protect her because fat is the backup. Protect her backup. That's the server backup. All the information is over here. So protect this. Don't let this go. And if Sampada has even 1 glass of water, that of course this is an exaggeration, but even let's say 1 tablespoon of seeds, pack that into fat, put it into storage because she is in trauma right now. She will need all the backup she needs. So whatever you are going to eat when you are stressed will also get packed as fat, which is why you will see a lot of health professionals say, so usually when I check with my inquiries, I've always asked them, what are your stress levels out of 10? Just to check that what is going to be the response on the nutrition plan and There are also solutions to that in nutrition. If you are under high stress, there are two foods you should consume. Yeah, one is walnuts and the other one is oranges.
Explain more about this, like emotions in food, right?
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
Tell me more
See,
about this.
oranges have vitamin C in it. When you are stressed, you release a lot of free radicals. Free radicals are toxins. Free radicals are released anyway, even if in your normal movement, whether you are working out or not, you're releasing free radicals. You're releasing a higher number of free radicals when you are working out or when you are undergoing some sort of mental stress. So, what vitamin C does is it engages with the free radical and dumps it out of the system. If oranges don't do that, these free radicals engage with the organs and create diseases. So that's where vitamin C comes into the picture. Yeah.
There's also, so my mom recently went through a surgery, a minor one, and someone came to visit, one of her friends, and we were having lunch, and the friend was like, "Why are you having pickle? You're recovering from an operation." So is there such a thing that, okay, certain foods, like we hear a lot of talk about increase the acidic level or this or that, or you should not have certain foods when you're recovering from an illness or a surgery? Is that true? Like, how much scientific logic is there to that?
You know what? Actually, this is a very blanket statement because literally for everything you need protein. Your heart is a muscle. If you don't consume, so now I've just had a patient who has got cirrhosis.
Okay.
And cirrhosis requests you to stay off protein and fat, leaving him only with carbs. But now he's overweight as well. So carbs are also
That's
a
a
no-no.
challenge.
So yes. So we have to give him, now we have to watch quantities with him. I can't pull off the protein because if you pull off the protein, even something as basic as the heart functions only on protein, then there is no protein. Of course, all foods are made in combinations. It's not just pure carbs or pure fat or pure protein. Everything has a little bit of fat and protein and carbs in it. So, but what I'm trying to get at is something like, so protein is a basic requirement for your body muscles. Even if you're not trying to lose weight, even if you're not trying to gain muscle, protein is definite requirement for repairing. When you are trying to heal, protein is needed. If you're trying to gain muscle, protein is needed. If you're trying to lose fat, also protein is needed. Sampada, did you know that when you consume protein, you burn 35% of protein, body burns, it's called thermogenesis. The body's ability to burn, to increase its burning capacity in an attempt to digest the food that you're consuming. That's roughly 35%. And for fat and for carbs, it's only 5 to 10%. So that's why this is a question you didn't ask, but I'm going to answer. A lot of people say, can I lose fat only dieting? Yes, you can. Will I recommend it? No, I won't, because I'm a big lover of keep muscle. It's needed for your metabolism, for your posture, for your strength, stamina, energy. But if I ask just the clear question, is it possible to lose fat without workout? Yes, it is. And that's also the time that you need a higher protein consumption, because not only will protein burn a lot of fat in your body and help you drop fat, it will also, and this is how it does it, when you're consuming it, it increases the thermogenic effect and increases the burning capacity of the body. So even for a person who is trying to drop fat only via diet, a higher protein diet will help them drop fat faster.
Okay. So which brings me to something I wanted to ask, okay? So does inch loss and fat loss mean more or less the same thing, or can they mean two separate things, and how are they connected?
Very good question. I'm so happy you asked this again. So I'm a nutritionist and inch loss coach, okay? And the reason I call myself an inch loss coach, I'll explain what inch loss means. So you see, 5 kilos of fat occupies so much space on your body. 5 kilos of muscle occupies so much space on your body.
Okay.
let's say you're 85 kilos. You dropped 5 kilos of fat and you gained 5 kilos of muscle. You are still 85 kilos, okay? But what's the difference now?
Your shape. Yeah.
You've dropped in inches because now that fat which is occupying so much space on your body has been removed and been replaced by muscle which occupies lesser space. I have clients who have lost inches, gained weight, 11 kilos, lost a lot of inches, and living the healthiest lifestyle ever.
So Maitri, let's look at a typical Indian meal, okay? I'm going to make it like very generic and say, okay, there's dal, sabzi, roti, salad, maybe curd. So do you feel overall in a normal regular household, what we tend to have fulfills our nutrient needs, or is one food component in excess of the other, or what it should be?
So you say India is a largely vegetarian country, and a normal meal would mean roti, sabzi, dal, rice, salad, chach maybe for some people in summers. Unfortunately, Indian meals are very high in carbs. Not because they are created badly, but it's because of the manner in which we eat them. So, when I'm talking to people, they're like, okay, for lunch I have 3 chapatis, 1 katori sabji, and 1 katori dal. You need to change that completely. Reverse that. Half a roti or 1 roti, that's carbs, that's for energy only. Any additional carbs are going to pack on as fat. A very good time to tell you that consumption of fat doesn't make you fat. Consumption of excess carbs makes you fat. Hence, we control on the carbs. So half a roti to 1 roti, that also try to have high fiber rotis. Wheat doesn't have as much fiber as jowar, bajra, or multigrain, ragi. Combine about 7-8 attas, you'll benefit from the amino acids of all these attas.
Okay.
And you will fill yourself in half a roti because it's so heavy in fiber that you will not need any more roti. So coming back to half a multigrain high fiber roti, big bowl of sabzi, big bowl of dal.
So you're saying the same things, just change the proportion.
Change the proportion.
Okay.
And when you are, we are so accustomed to taking such a big piece of roti and then picking up little bit of sabzi. No, change that. Small piece of roti, big tablespoon of sabzi, have it that way, have that combination.
And I think that's probably easier for people to do than adapt a completely new eating style or eating habit.
No, I don't. Our Indian food is great. Our Indian cuisine is absolutely awesome. It will contribute better to you if you learn better ways to consume it.
Okay. You're talking about Indian food. There's this, this sort of impression people have that, okay, Asian women, you hardly ever see them put on weight, and European women or Latino women age better. So can we put it down to a large part to their diet or the kind of food they eat? Like, do you notice a difference because of the diet? Like, what do you feel about it?
You see, there, a lot of, 10%, only 10% of your body responses, diseases are genetic.
Okay.
90% is what you do to it through a diet.
Okay.
Oriental food is actually really nice. So they have semi-cooked vegetables and they always have a very large portion of non-veg. So if you go to any of the veg, I have these Jain clients, and then they travel to all these Southeast Asian countries or European countries, and like, Maitri, no vegetarian. So the point I'm trying to get at is, so strong is their cuisine on non-vegetarian and veggies that they literally have vegetarian missing in it. The manner in which they consume their vegetables is really amazing. It's just semi-cooked. And semi-cooked vegetable opens up the nutritional value of the vegetable. It doesn't, when you overcook the vegetable. So this is, I won't say a drawback, but a manner in which, we could probably come up with some way to address this. When you overcook veggies, which happens a lot in India, you pretty much smash it and destroy the nutritional value of it. You're not really left with anything. Even overseas, they would stir fry vegetable. Overseas, I mean Western countries, they stir fry vegetable. Again, they have their portion of beef or mutton or probably chicken or chicken breast, or and then they have stir fried vegetables. Again, stir fried vegetables are touching, just opening up the nutritional value, just semi cooked, partially done, and that's it. So yes, their nutrition, the manner in which they are eating is something that one can learn from if you are trying to improve your body composition.
Yeah.
If you are happy where you are, please continue. There's nothing. Nobody can. Okay, I'm happy with my roti sabzi. Go ahead.
So before we let you go, I'm going to ask you a very basic question. What do you eat in a day? Tell us that.
Very good question. I have, you will laugh, I have 14 eggs in a day.
No, really?
Egg whites.
I thought I was the only one obsessed with eggs. No.
My breakfast is eggs. My lunch is proper roti sabzi dal. Multi-grain roti, of course. No dal, sorry, roti, sabzi, and then I have a salad. Sometimes I just take cucumber because I don't have much time. I'm a Gujarati, so I'm a very big fan of buttermilk, but thin buttermilk, cow's milk. It's also very high in protein. This would be my lunch. Then 5 o'clock I have eggs again, and then for dinner I have eggs again with broccoli. And then before I sleep I take my protein shake.
Okay.
But yeah, a lot of eggs in a day.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a diet necessarily a lot of people can sustain. You are clearly very disciplined, which is why you're able to do that.
Actually, no. I come from a vegetarian family. We were not allowed eggs. I introduced eggs some 20 years back because I needed muscle, or someone told me that, this is the right way to go about it. And I have been obsessed. I saw no other. It's amazing. Start having eggs if you're not religiously inhibited or taste-wise inhibited. Eggs will make you feel so full. One egg white is only 17 calories. One egg yellow is 74 calories. You will feel so full in a few egg whites. You will not feel the need to go anywhere else. And the feeling it gives you, the energy, the stamina, the results on your muscle, unmatchable.
Now, I'm a huge egg fan. You don't have to convince me about that. But I think we learned a lot. I learned a lot, and I'm reasonably well informed about, fitness and nutrition. But I learned a lot in terms of, your strength, your muscle component in your body, and things like that. And thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you so much, Sampada. It was lovely meeting you after such a long time.
Yeah, it was really nice to have you here. And let's see if we can do another follow-up session. We'll come back with like 20 more questions soon.
Always very happy to spend time with you, Sampada.
Thank you.